Welcome to AI in Motion, the podcast for leaders under pressure to do AI without breaking their teams, their brand, or their judgment. Hosted by Carol Lynn Jardine, Asma Stewart, and Megan Ratcliffe, co-founders of Clarity in Motion Collective, and operators building and leading with AI in the real world. Each episode brings you conversations with operators, CMOs, and builders navigating AI where it actually counts, inside real workflows, real organizations, and real constraints. What's working, what's not, and what it really takes to move from experimentation to impact. This is AI in Motion.
I am so excited you're joining us today on AI in Motion. Thank you so much.
I'm just excited that our schedules align, that we can actually see each other. This is great.
And Cathy and I have known each other for a very long time. I've been lucky to be involved with SmarterX before it was called SmarterX. And I'm just so grateful for this conversation because, Cathy, truly, you've had the front row seat to two of the biggest shifts in marketing. You ran content marketing world at CMI and built this incredible community there. And now you're leading marketing at a company that's teaching everyone else how to use AI. But before we get into all of that, I would love to hear how you tell your story when someone asks what you do and how you got here.
Oh gosh, that's a long story. I've been around a long time. I think it goes all the way back to high school, but I'll get through that part quickly. But I was told in high school by a very non-encouraging teacher that I couldn't be good at art and math. She's like, that's just not possible. And I said, well, I am, so I'm not sure what I should be doing when I grow up. And she's like, go to the library, take a career assessment or career, test. And marketing came out. And I just was a rule follower. So I said, okay, I guess that's what I'm going to be doing. And then I went to school for journalism and marketing, and here I am. So started at a few agencies in Cleveland, and then started my own business for about 13 years, met Joe Polizzi on Twitter at Content Marketing Institute, and kind of at this weird crossroads of COVID, empty nesting, and just some other weird things happening. I called my friend Paul Roetzer, and I've been with Paul for coming up on 5 years.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And can I just say hello, Da Vinci?
You think a high school educator would be like, that's amazing. You can do so much with that.
Yeah, you're a Renaissance woman, literally. So I'm interested in just digging in first around community building because it has been such a cornerstone of your career, and content world became such a huge engaged community, and now SmarterX has this beautiful community. So how do you think the role of community has changed in the AI era compared to, let's say, your content marketing era?
I think we're still all just trying to figure this out. There's this through line of it's nice having someone along with you that can help you figure this out, whether it's your teammates, whether it's people at Content Marketing World, people at MAICON, people just saying, I'm struggling, I need help, and I don't need necessarily my CEO to help me or my boss to help me. I need to find people that are like me that I can learn from. And that also holds true for your department. Like my team, we're all learning together. Our company, we're learning together. But having someone that really understands you and your role and your challenges and opportunities is such an amazing thing. And I think when I think about Content Marketing World, which was an amazing community, I loved growing it. And community is such a, I was brought up that way. You work to help people. You surround yourself with good people. And I think with the difference between then and now is that now things are going so much faster. And it's not like, oh, we should be thinking about this or we should be doing. Now it's like mission critical. So now it's like we need to find those people that we can really put our arms around and grow with. And I think the best thing about being a community leader is seeing the community just do their own thing. And there have been so many offshoots of the community that like I see it and it's just like, you don't need us. And I'm glad you're around, but like, look at what you've done on your own. And I think that's similar to being a leader of a community is like, do your thing. So it's been very, very fun to watch.
Yeah. And I do think because things are moving so fast, people are feeling like the earth is just not stable underneath them. And having that safe space that SmarterX provides through the Slack community and also the annual gathering at MAICON, I think becomes more important just as a community member myself. knowing that there are others kind of on this journey who are also having to learn something new, literally maybe 5 times a day, is, I think, makes community even more important today for
Yeah.
building such a great one.
And I think it's really great because things are going so quickly. And there are some folks that are so far ahead of so many of us in our community. And you never feel like you can't just ask a really silly question, which probably is not a silly question. Someone else is probably saying, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked that because I had the same question I didn't want to ask. And I think that having that community with no egos has been really, really amazing.
One thing that always strikes me about the work you all have been doing for a very long time is you've been advocating and telling the business world that AI is coming well before the ChatGPT moment. And I'm just wondering for you, when AI stopped being something you covered and actually something that had to change the way you did your job and your team's job.
I think for me personally, it was shortly after I started with Marketing AI Institute in 2021. Paul was recording a webinar. And I said, okay, when we're done, we're putting it on demand. We're putting it on the website. Who does that? And he said, you do. And I said, oh, great. I've never done that before. So he said, log on to Descript, figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I did. And I was like, oh, okay. So I can edit videos now. And certainly I'm not a video editor by any means, but it did democratize this thing, this task, simple task of what I was trying to do. Chop off the beginning of the video, chop off the ending, get it into a system and, add a little intro and outro. Like, okay, I can do that. So that was a start of like, oh, there's some tools that can fundamentally change some of the things that I'm doing or give me new abilities. And then I was logging on to copy.ai way back when. And I was working on some MAICON promotions, and it was just like, wow, that was really fast, and it was okay. I had to change a lot of it. So then I was like, okay, how else can I start saving some time? Where else can I gain some efficiencies? And then I think, since ChatGPT and everything, it's been like, okay, now tell me what else I can do. What can I do with my data? What can I do with my strategy? What can I do with all these things? Like every month, it's like just more and more and more. But I still am doing a lot of it the old-fashioned way, just because one, I enjoy it, and two, there's some tech that's just not there yet. I know we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit as well, but it's just finding that balance of optimization, efficiencies, and me just being happy and doing what I like doing.
Right. And that's actually the great point to emphasize to folks. Yes, AI gives you all of these powers and it can do many, many, many things, but there's some things you want to safeguard. I know all of you at SmarterX are fantastic writers, and a lot of you are safeguarding that as, no, this is something I want to do. The research, the context, whatever, AI can help me on that, the production part, but safeguarding the parts you enjoy, and then also asking yourself, okay, where can AI come in on things that I don't love, is a great thing for folks to keep in mind, especially as they're moving on their AI journey. And I'm wondering how you think about your AI marketing strategy internally at SmarterX, and what does that ever evolving version of your strategy look like, considering that tools and capabilities are changing so quickly?
It's not so much about finding the right tool, and it's really about finding the right use case. Something comes along and you're like, oh, this is really great. But it's like, okay, hang on. Do I really need to stop my momentum this week on this thing I've been doing, this project I've been working on, to see what this tool can do? Maybe, but maybe we just put a pause on that for a minute and just focus on the things we know are really making the biggest impact to our business right now. So, I mean, if it's update to a new version of ChatGPT or Gemini or something, I think that's really great to test. But I think a lot of it is just like, let's just slow down this a little bit. Watch our use cases, figure out where we're having the most productivity and efficiency, and then say, okay, let's invest some time tinkering and playing around with whatever new is coming out. But really, it starts with the use case. And I think a lot of people get stuck on, oh, this new tool is out, I need to go test it. I don't know. I just run out of hours, and I'm sure you do too.
Right.
You just can't do it all. I think another big thing is a lot of marketing leaders or leaders in general, like waiting for some moment of clarity and then deciding like, okay, AI can help me here, or this is going to be the right tool. And I think you just need to kind of get used to things being a little bit messy and uncomfortable and just jumping in and trying it. Because you can stop. If it's not working, you've got to like just test some things you can measure, see if it was successful. And if it's not, okay, let's maybe table that for right now or figure out what you could be doing better. But I think you just have to get a little bit uncomfortable.
Percent. It is messy, as you said. I
Yeah.
love that. And I think just getting stuck in and experimenting. And it is, as you said, you can stop. And also, if you're using super low risk use cases, just play, just get in. I think I always tell folks who are just starting, like, you're not going to break anything. Like the thing we're working on right now, it's not going to break anything.
Right.
And you can always start over. And I think that just lowers the anxiety a little bit. But I love that. And as you said, just get stuck in and you can always stop.
One of the presentations that I did a couple of years ago that I was talking about when I first started my career, I was in media planning and I was booking like 6-figure TV broadcast, national TV buys. And once those were bought, you were locked in. You couldn't change a thing. And just like what an opportunity now that we have we can start something, we can test it, we can test creatives, we can test campaigns and just stop them if they're not working. Like what an opportunity for us to be better marketers and give our customers what they're looking for, what they need, what they don't even know they need. All of that is so much, we have the ability to do so much more now. Because before it was like you just place that big buy and cross your fingers that it worked.
I love that. It just lowering the stakes for folks, I think, is so crucial. And CMOs and other marketing leaders need to hear that. I'm actually curious because you've just published a slew of amazing new blueprints and updated the CMO blueprint. And I'm wondering where you as SmarterX are seeing CMOs consistently get stuck and what patterns are you seeing in terms of how they're breaking through in terms of getting themselves and their teams moving on AI?
I'm just talking to Paul about this. I think where I've seen a lot of leaders get stuck is that being afraid to admit they don't really understand it, that they've been in their careers for a really long time. They're very, very smart people, and they just haven't not even taken the time, had the time and made the time to invest in learning about artificial intelligence and just wanting to admit that. So I think that's where the community comes in. Can you get, you and I are in a CMO community on Friday mornings, and it's like everyone's out there just saying, okay, help me understand this a little bit better. And that's really great. But I think there are some folks that are just, how can I go to my CMO and say, I don't understand this? Like, how is that going to look if I do that? Where we just need to, just swallow our pride and just go learn some things, whether it's your boss knows you're doing it or go do it on your own time. But I think it's investing the time for yourself and then think about what that ripple effect is for you, for your team. Because if you're not a leader who can empower your team, or find someone in your team who's that change agent you can say to them, come to me help me understand this better. Can you take the lead on this so our team can be doing this? Because I want to lead my team and I want to make sure that they're staying in their roles. I don't want to lose my team members. So the more the CMO can invest time in learning, training, educating themselves, the better they're going to be for their team.
Like we really have a philosophy here that CMOs need to have hands on keyboards when it comes to AI. It's not necessarily a transformation they can delegate unless they understand the tech really, really closely. And they're kind of the strategic lead, right? And usually the person with the most subject matter expertise in terms of marketing, their industry, their market. And so they'll be the ones to see use cases, to see strategic applications, but creating that safe space for them and letting them know that this does not teach itself. Like, it's okay that you don't know all of this stuff. There are resources out there for you, I think is so important.
If you think about you as a marketing leader and you have someone working on all the different parts of the marketing for your organization, just because I don't understand how Claire on my team, who's our executive producer of the podcast, how she's using AI in all the different ways. We're talking about some capabilities before we started recording. I don't need to know all the ins and outs to know that she's doing a good job. So she can take AI and do stuff with it that I don't even understand. Jeremy, who heads up marketing for Academy, is doing so many things in HubSpot, taking advantage of those AI capabilities. I know the results. I don't need to know the day-to-day exactly how he's doing it. I need to know it's safe. I need to know he's not doing stuff with customer data. I need to know, is it following our guidelines? But he can go do all of that. And Macy, who does social, can do all of her stuff in Sprout with all the new AI stuff that I don't need to be in the weeds that much to let them go and do their thing and use these tools. So it's more just understanding, what are we trying to achieve? How can AI supplement some of the things they've already been doing? Where can we save time? Where can we save money? Where can we do more things? So it's not like knowing the ins and outs of every single thing.
But just understanding the power of the technology and how
Yep.
it works.
Yep.
And then, enabling your team and unleashing them with guardrails. Such a great example. And actually a really good segue to what I wanted to talk to you about next. A few years ago, you did a podcast talking about the day-to-day applications of AI at SmarterX. And I would love to hear just the current state. This is definitely a podcast about just the practical applications and how people can do AI in their day-to-day work. And I can't think of a better example than the SmarterX team, because you literally are teaching people about how to apply AI in their day-to-day work life. And the audience is definitely very curious on your journey and how you're applying it today.
Yeah, and we're figuring it out just like the rest of you, which is
Exactly.
really fun. For the most part, we are using it a lot for content creation, a lot more for content ideation. Like you said, we do enjoy writing on our team, but in order to produce the volume of content that we're producing, AI does help us with a lot of that. Repurposing, our social team, Macy, is using, is taking the blog posts, taking our ebooks, blueprints, all the things, and turning those into social. A lot of research is being done using AI. Deep research is like a dream for us. And then there's lots of, unique tools for certain use cases. Like I said, Descript or Sprout Social, or some video tools and some other things that our individual team members are using. But it's interesting, Paul and I talked about this in the podcast a few weeks ago about how I'm using it a lot, and as is Paul, a lot more for strategy than we are for actually tactical things. Even though I do some tactical things, I use it more for ideas and strategy and go-to-market plans and all those things, versus the ways that some other team members are using it. So we're not all using it by any means the same way. So
Yeah.
it's been, and we had a team retreat a few weeks ago, and we kind of went through a lot of those things. And it was just so fun to hear the way people are using, different ways people are using things. So we're trying to get more intentional and stick to having just like a lunch and learn, someone jumping on and saying, here's how I built this, using it, because I know that there'll be, applications across most of us in the organization.
I loved hearing about your retreat on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And one of the new segments that I think has been an awesome addition to the podcast is how Paul and Mike are sharing their applications of AI week to week, just to be super transparent, help the community think about the art of the possible. So that's all really exciting. And it's so comforting, I think, to hear for other organizations that you guys are figuring it out, experimenting, keeping an open mind, and just keeping team learning together is such a great philosophy.
And none of us are the IT tech people that, know the ins and outs of all of this. And so I think, we are kind of our own customers in a lot of ways. Like if we don't understand it, then we need to work on, figuring it out for ourselves so we can then educate. And here's the roadblocks we ran into, and here's the challenges, trying to operationalize some things. And here's what we're running into. I think that's what we're very, sometimes maybe too honest about the things that we're doing. But I think it's helpful to a lot of folks saying, okay, if you're having this challenge, and we are too, that I don't feel so bad.
And then it makes me think about, like, you are absorbing so much information about AI at a velocity that most marketing leaders aren't, right? You're hosting these podcasts weekly. Sometimes you're the co-host, especially of the AI Answer series. You do these regular webinars. How does that volume of exposure change your actual decision making, if at all? It sounds like you are very just realistic and aren't just moving on a whim just because one technology update happened. But would love to hear your thinking and how you coach your team on, okay, yeah, there are all these things happening, but let's think about it this way or that way.
I think a lot of the things we're doing is we're documenting a lot of our processes. So it's helping us pinpoint where AI might be able to assist us. So, okay, here's the 20 steps it takes to do this. Can AI help us? If it can't, let's just, put that aside for now. We'll revisit it in a few months, or if there's a tech update or a new tech rollout, then it's like, okay, wait, let's go back to that because maybe it could fit somewhere. But really being pragmatic about here's all the things we're trying to do. But when I come to from an education side of things and from a keeping up with everything, for a long time, I'm like, okay, if Paul and Mike are keeping up with all of this, I need to also. And then I was like, no, I don't. I don't need to do this every week. I can listen to the podcasts like everybody else. So I have that hour or two every week that I listen to the podcast, and then I have a few other sources, but it's like I listen, I process it, I understand a few key takeaways for me. Then I just get to work and do my job. So I'm trying really hard and I know I probably know more than your average person just being in my role, and I need to know probably a little bit more, but I don't need to know the depth of it that Paul and Mike do. And that's okay.
I think it's just something so encouraging for the audience because there's so much FOMO out there. There's also a lot of AI theater out there as well.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you have to know everything. And as you said, you take what's relevant to you and then you apply it. And I'd love to also put a really fine point on what you said in terms of evaluating your processes, figuring out the jobs to be done, kind of decomposing your work streams and saying, where is that human element and where could AI potentially help us? Is such a powerful way for people to think about their own systems, because I think it gives them a framework that is easy to apply. The other thing we've been encouraging people to think about is what outcome are you trying to drive?
Mm-hmm.
And let's reverse engineer based on that outcome or that big goal you have as a team and figure out how AI could support you and what parts stay human. And that's also been a really good way for us to help people break it down and not feel like they have to boil the ocean from day one.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that you can do right away, and there are some things that might take 3, 6, 9, 12 months, or who can even look past 12 months at this point. But you don't need to do it all at once either. Like, where can you start? Start small, get a win, get comfortable with it. But it's amazing. Like, once we started documenting processes as our team grew, we realized how valuable it was that we had all these things documented, because it did set us up for success and figuring out ways that we could augment our work with some artificial intelligence.
And having said that, what would you tell a CMO who feels like they are falling behind? What advice would you give them or encouragement as the world around them is just changing so quickly?
Like when you were talking about my time at Content Marketing Institute, content marketing was such a valuable way for marketers and brands to get ahead. But if you didn't, it wasn't going to put you so far behind your competitors. And I don't mean that in a negative way about content marketing. It was so valuable, and it is so valuable, but it wasn't like if you're not getting aboard with AI, now you really are going to be in trouble. If you were doing marketing in other ways 15 years ago and you weren't doing content marketing, okay, that's your choice. But now I don't think you have that choice anymore. And I think you have to make the time to learn and to train your teams.
And that's such an important thing to discuss because, as we said earlier, AI does not teach itself. And AI literacy is obviously a cornerstone of what you all do at SmarterX, and something that is just such good guidance for CMOs to just make sure they're enabling their teams, that they're advancing AI literacy, they're finding ways for people to learn, providing them learning paths. One thing I'm interested in is you're creating all this incredible content and moving at a velocity that's incredible. How are you thinking about shelf life for that content? And how are you creating your curriculums and creating your approaches so that they are durable in an age where things are moving so quickly?
So we have this AI Academy, and there are some foundational courses that our team recorded last August, and we tried to make them as evergreen as possible. And it's like, how can we make this evergreen when it's artificial intelligence? So we tried our best, and we meaning not me, some others on the team. But it'll be interesting in August to see okay, do we need to redo these courses? of the foundational ones. But the way we're doing it to enhance the foundational courses that we're doing at minimum of 12 or most every 12 months, we're doing quarterly live updates, trends briefings. We're doing Ask Me Anything sessions with Paul and Mike on our team. We're dropping courses every month. We're dropping generative AI demos every week. So it's like, can that supplement the foundational courses that we hope stay evergreen for a little while? So it's giving me the foundation, and then it's like, here's more. I think since August, we've done like 150 courses.
Staggering.
It's crazy.
It is. And somebody who's witnessing it from the outside, the velocity, Cathy, really comes through.
Yeah, there are some weeks that, there will be a podcast recording on Monday, a podcast recording on Wednesday, because they drop on Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Academy live on Friday, and then a webinar on Wednesday. I mean, it's just like, then Paul and I sometimes are like, I've seen you way too much this week. Like, we need to go do something else.
Yeah, we need a time out.
But it's fun, and it's all different things. So, I mean, the intro classes and the scaling classes, our free classes that we do once a month, are great. But even those are different every single time. So Paul changes a few slides here and there every month just to make sure it's fresh. But even those are different every single time because things are moving at such a quick pace.
Well, we will continue watching because I'm sure the velocity. We've been talking a lot about business and the application of AI in business, and I've seen some fun posts from you here and there on how you're applying it to your personal life. And I would just love any recent tricks or something that you used AI for more on the personal side than the work side that you found super helpful.
Well, I just planned a trip to Europe with my husband and my kids. And we're going the day after MAICON, which is either going to be the best idea in the world or literally the dumbest idea in the world. I'm probably going to sleep the whole way to Budapest. So we're doing Budapest, Vienna, and Prague. Me and Gemini planned our whole entire trip. And I said, my son wants to ride public transportation. My daughter wants to be outside as much as possible. My husband wants to find the oldest pubs in every country we go to. And I want to see things that locals love and not tourist stuff. But if there's a tourist thing I have to see, like if I came home and someone was like, you didn't see this? I'm trying to do trying to find 5 personality traits mixed into one, trip for all of us. And it did. And it was amazing. And I showed someone and they're like, where did you get this? What travel agent did you use? And I was like, oh, no, that was me and Gemini. So I planned this whole trip. And then I said, I've learned that you can buy train tickets through multiple places in Europe. So I said, what is the right train website to use to get the tickets I need for this, the official one? So it told me, and then it said, this was Gemini. Would you like me to send you a calendar hold for July 16th? And I said, yes, I do. So it's just crazy what's possible. I built a GPT for my workout schedule. I built a Paul GPT. So if I ever have any questions for Paul and he's not around, I can ask the Paul GPT instead, or I can run it through that before I, talk to him about it.
Oh, those are great use cases. And I think I need your itinerary. Oh my God, those 3 cities are so high on my list.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, Cathy, I can't thank you enough for joining me today. And just before we leave, I do want to make sure you share where people can get plugged into SmarterX and learn more about what you're building and also learn about your annual conference, MAICON, which is one of my absolute favorite events. And I just love coming every year. That would be super helpful.
Well, and I love when you're there. Last year when you emailed and said you were coming, I think I scared the whole office because I was like, is this coming? I was so excited that you were going to be there. Okay, so SmarterX, you can visit smarterx.ai. And so really quickly, we're a media event and education company. The media side started with Marketing AI Institute and getting in the weeds a little bit. But the events, so we have MAICON, which is our annual Marketing AI conference, which is getting a little bit more business. Still have the marketing slant, but we're hitting a lot of different areas of the business. We've got our podcast, the Artificial Intelligence Show, where Paul, Mike, and sometimes I make an appearance, which drops on Tuesdays and sometimes on Thursdays. And then our AI Academy, which is what we alluded to, the online training and education we have for individuals and for enterprises and businesses of any size. So all of that can be found through smarterx.ai.
Yes. And the Slack community, people can sign up through Smarter as well. Well, Cathy, this has been so fun. And I thank you again for joining us. And I know people will get a lot of benefit just hearing your approach and just how, I have to say, just sane and pragmatic your approach is. And I think it'll help a lot of CMOs feel a little more relief. So thank you again. And I can't wait to get this podcast out.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to AI in Motion. If today's conversation sparked an idea, share it with your team or continue the conversation with us at Clarity in Motion Collective. We believe AI should give people and organizations clarity and momentum, not more noise. Until next time.